listening to Unfiltered with Muhammad Uncut, a podcast about personal growth and authentic leadership. If you're looking for tips on how to manage others, get ahead, and make your way up the corporate ladder, this is not the show for you. This podcast is about being of service to others, leading from the heart, and evolving into a better version of yourself. Each episode brings you motivated stories about unfiltered leadership and authentic leaders, those who involve others, use their influence to amplify diverse perspectives, and inspire teams to achieve collective results. If this sounds like you, keep listening. Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Podcast. I've got a guest with me today. His name is Justin Breen. We're going to learn all about his approach to leadership and how he connects authentically with other people and what he does with those relationships to turn them into real, authentic relationships. Thank you very much for joining me this morning, Justin.
Mohammed, it's really great to be on the show. My firm just joined the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and I got my Canadian hat.
I love it. I was going to comment on that. I know you're not far from me. I'm in London, Ontario. You're in Chicago, so we're kind of neighbors. So just a bit of background for the listeners. Justin Breen is CEO of the PR firm BrEpic Communications, and he's author of the #1 international best-selling book, Epic Business. Justin is hardwired to seek out and create viral, awesome. We'll make sure that we put that in the link at the end as well. He's hardwired to seek out and create viral, thought-provoking stories, and he's all about making connections and using those connections to create strong relationships. Justin, the Unfiltered Podcast is all about how we involve, influence, and inspire others. It's about our own transformational journey to become a better individual, a better human being. We're going to ask you today on how we can do that. What are your takes? How have you done that? How can our listeners become better versions of themselves? And how we can lead ourselves first so that we can lead other people. So thank you once again for being my guest. And without further ado, can you, in your own words, tell the listeners, who is Justin Breen?
Sure, I'm happy to do that. Before I forget, thank you for developing Patrick Kane when he was a London Knight before coming to the Chicago Blackhawks. So, yeah, London has a special place in my heart.
There you
certainly go. For Kane, and then driving to Toronto from Chicago, stopped in London, had a great lunch there. Right downtown, right next to the Knights arena, and really.
The Budweiser Gardens, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So I have been to London, love Ontario, love Canada, and again, my company just joined the Canadian Chamber.
Well, Canada, Ontario, and London welcomes you, and hopefully, when our borders open up and things are safer for everyone, we're going to get you to guest us up again. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to. I talk to more people in Canada than I do in Chicago, and. I'm all about global growth and thinking on a global level with an abundance investment mindset, and there really are no limits. Once you find the right people, it becomes a big small world or a small big world, and so that's just kind of how I look at things, and life is really, really amazing. Things are just great, and it all starts with mindset and being a leader.
This is a great segue into my first question. Can you take us about what you believe great leadership is about and why it starts with a mindset? And what is that mindset all about, Justin?
Yeah, so mindset's it's the #1 thing. Everything else kind of trickles down from that. And if you have an abundance investment, positive mindset, it just leads to greatness. And what I've found is most people, obviously not all, but most people have a cost scarcity mindset for whatever reason. And what my company BrEpic really is it's a PR firm, but really on a higher level of thinking, it's just a giant incubator of geniuses around the world, and we're constantly introducing each other for mutual gain. And the byproduct is I'm constantly getting intros to companies around the world that want to hire my firm, but really it all starts with the tens of thousands of folks within my company's network, and within my network they all have an abundance investment visionary mindset, and those people with that type of mindset, and especially since COVID, they're just investing and pivoting like crazy right now. There's no cost scarcity issue. It's just invest, abundance, leadership, and everything else kind of follows from there.
Because what you put out into the universe is what you get back, isn't it?
It's a
Justin,
magnet.
right?
It's a magnet.
Right?
I mean, why are we having this conversation? You put out
Because you
radio
reached out to
frequencies,
me.
right? And so, but I reached out to you because of something
Right.
you post. I'm like, oh, this is someone I need and want to talk to, and so, you know, it's a lot of fun because I spend a good part of my day. I was about to drink some coffee and then I'm putting it down, but I spend a good part of my day talking to incredible people around the world, and most of them, not all, but most of them are running high six-figure to 10-figure businesses in American U.S. dollars. And what I found is that those folks, basically 99, 100% of them all have that investment, abundance, visionary mindset. And because of that, they're leading amazing companies, they've created amazing networks, they're finding joy in their lives, and I do a lot of mindset and brain work and things like that, and I just like to surround myself with those type of people, because when you do, you just rise with them, and then they rise with you.
And that's what great leaders do, is they use their influence to help others rise. So, Justin, I don't think you're throwing it or mincing words. When you
No, I'm
say,
very direct.
right? And when you say that when you've used now the word investment 7 times in our podcast, if I
Nice.
miscounted.
Oh, there'll be more for sure.
Right? And I think it's very intentional. You've used
Yes.
that just as much as you've used abundance. And
Yes.
I want people to understand, if we have that positive growth mindset, that we can change. I learned a wonderful word, which is the word yet, which means I can't start a podcast yet. I can't grow my business yet. I can't ride a bike yet. I always use that example. There was, this year, my son turned 13. We've always had a smaller bike for him, and we knew it was time to get rid of it. And I gave him my bike this year. I said, get on.
Nice.
He goes, I can't. I said, get on. And I thought, he's going to fall. He got on. He teeter-tottered a bit, and then he went. And then we've been going for bike rides every day. And I know he takes off his hands off the handlebars. But that is what life is about, is sometimes you put on the training wheels, sometimes you go hands-free. The idea is you've got to friggin' try. You've got to just get on. You've got to, if you fall, you get a few scratches, scrapes, you get up and you keep going. And people just don't, I've done it. I just don't understand that sometimes. You face defeat or failure sometimes and you think, I can't get back up. But you know what? Knowing that this is an investment in your growth and using the word yet to help you get there. But I want your take on this, because, I know when I hear the word investment, and when a lot of people hear the word investment, of course, we think of money, and that's important. We all need to make a living. We all want to be, financially stable, successful. Yep. But take me to where you're coming from, because I think you say it with a double entendre. Like, I think you mean more than just investment in money or 6 figures. Can you take me there?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and you read it correctly. So I'm involved in several very high-level global entrepreneurial groups. One is Strategic Coach, another is Entrepreneurs Organization, and then I just joined Abundance 360, which I'm really excited about. That's for that group. Usually they have a 10 million threshold to get into that, and I don't care about revenue at all. Maybe that's why they let me in, but they make exceptions for visionary wackadoos like me. And that group is among Peter Diamandis started that, so he's the guy at SpaceX, flying around in space. So it's those type of people in that group. So those are significant investments in actual, financial investments. But I don't look at things like that. I look at it as it's an investment in my brain, and in my mindset, and in my network. And so those things are far more important than a financial investment. And so when you put yourself with the right people, doing the right things, with the right mindset, the byproduct is, again, you don't lead with this, but the byproduct is your business and life grow beyond your wildest dreams, because, again, you're in the room with the right people. And so I know when people ask me within 5 or 10 minutes, what do you cost or what do you charge? I know immediately they're not going to be clients and they're not going to be in my network because they're looking at things in a transactional way as opposed to an investment abundance mindset way where they think they understand that investing with firms like mine is an investment in their company, in their brain, in their connectivity, in their network, and all that stuff. And so the thing I hear from people is, what does an investment with your firm look like? They don't say cost, they don't say charge, they say investment. And so that's been the biggest thing I've seen from what people who have read my book. I said that's the chapter that really sticks out, is only work with folks who look at things as investments, not costs.
Because, investment means it's long-term, it's growth, it's transformational.
Yes.
Cost is usually one time, or it's deliberate, and it's transactional, right? And
that's correct.
What's a relationship that is transactional, that's based on the one-offs, as opposed to a relationship that's transformational and that's going to spiral into opportunities. And that comes with the growth mindset. And I don't want to kid around. I know you're pretty serious. I know you're pretty dominant in your approach. I can just tell it from the.
I'm the highest D on disc you can imagine.
Oh, there you go. So I'm an IDDI, right? So we're talking the same language.
Right.
This is right. So I can sense it. I can feel the vibes you're putting out, right?
Yep.
And why is this important? I think DISC or other personality assessment tools or AQ tools, we probably both use them.
Yep.
But the important thing is, yes, we're talking mindset, but leaders who lead effectively and are transformational, not transactional, also have something I call a heart set. You want to create that relationship with others. Of course, you want to be successful. Of course, you want to, bring some financial resources and stability and growth and scalability to what you do. It just makes sense. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to fall flat on my face today. Everybody wakes
I
up
hope
and says,
not.
Right. Well, actually, some people do, but that's why they need to listen to this to change their mindset. But the important is you take it to that level that, yes, you've got to be smart about this. Yes, you've got to think about how do we get things done, but you recognize and realize that we don't get things done without others. And that's where the heart set comes in. Is we use, leadership from the heart. It's unfiltered. It's, you're going to work with me. You're going to get this. And this is what I'm going to do for you, right? So tell me a bit about that. Tell me a bit about how do you work with people? How do you transform them? What do you do?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Multiple questions. And so, again, a good part of my day is talking to folks with this mindset, with this leadership tactics. And again, most of them, not all, but most are running high 6-figure to 10-figure businesses. So when you talk to people like that, you see patterns emerge. And I'm not talking like a lot, I'm talking like thousands of these types of people. My company's a little over 3 years old, and so I have between 25 and 50 of these conversations every week. So do the math, boom, 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 boom. So the pattern that has emerged the most, and it's super interesting to me, is that it's actually surprisingly simple, or a surprisingly simple formula to build a global company that does a good job. So it's, you see a problem, you create solution to problem solve, successful global company. So that's pretty much all I've done with my PR firm. I was a journalist for 20 years and created my entire business model based on how PR firms annoyed me for 20 years. So saw a problem, created a solution to that problem, solved the problem, successful global company. So, and I only work with visionaries who look at things as investments, not costs. And so when you solve the problem and you get results, then people with that mindset want to work with you, and then they just introduce you to more people that want to work with you, and then they introduce you to more, and then you introduce them to other people, and it just creates all this awesome connectivity. And so not only are my firm's clients getting in news at a high level on a global level, they're getting connected to some of the best people in the world at a high and global level. So it's actually very exciting, because when you have this mindset, there are no limits to it. It just keeps growing and growing, and it will never stop growing, because when you find people like that, they want to introduce you to more people like that, because they want to spread that abundance. They don't want to stop it. It's the opposite of that. They just want to grow it.
Right. And Justin, I went to the beach this, with COVID, there wasn't much that we could do this year. So every Saturday or Sunday, weather permitting, we'd go to the beach. And one of the
Right.
things I like to do at the beach is, throw rocks, right? So what do
Where
you
do you
call it?
go to the
Skids.
beach in London? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I know, landlocked London. So the best place to go, call out for Lake Huron. We either
Oh,
go
that's a
to a
hike.
place called, yeah, so yeah, it's about 45
Oh,
minutes.
that's
My
not
kids
bad.
get there in 20 minutes the way they drive. I get there in about an hour and a half.
Got
So
it.
there's the Pinery, Grand Bend, but those are for the younger generations, like,
Right.
25 and under. I normally go to, it's called the Canatera Beach in Sarnia. It's just on the border with Port Huron.
Yep.
Beautiful, great for
Yep. Yep.
families. But I go there with my kid. I skip rocks, right? And so I'm not talking about a beach here, although it was very enjoyable this summer. But what we did when we threw those, we skipped stones in the water, is they rippled. They
Yep.
created that ripple
Hmm.
effect,
Nice.
and when you throw something in water and creates ripple, people just see the flat, superficial impact of what that
Hmm.
stone is doing and rippling. But relationships that are transformational ripple, but they spiral.
Yeah.
And as they spiral, our lives and the impact that we create are not linear. We don't move along from one line to another. They're
No.
not circular, because we don't start at point A and then circle around and come back to point A. It'd be boring. And they can't just climb, because we have slips and falls, and so, right? But they spiral. And that vision of, the universe is forever expanding in a spiraling fashion.
Right.
And so is the way that we grow. We spiral, and that ripple effect, as you meet people, as you engage and interact with people, yes, you're going to have those people that might draw you down, because the ripple may only be going out this way. But the people that help you grow,
Yep.
and the mindset that helps you grow, is when the ripple starts spiraling and becoming greater. And as you
That's
were
right.
talking about the people you're meeting and the relationships that you're creating, I thought, well, he's going to meet a jerk or two along the way. You probably do,
Yep.
right? But you don't let that mindset bring you down, because
See
what
you
you're
later.
doing is, see you later. You're, no toxicity here. You're meeting somebody else who's helping you rise and who you can rise with.
Right.
And, I think about the way that you've put this in terms of investment and why it's important. We all want to grow. We all want to do well. And when we work with others and we have good intentions, we're creating trust. We're not there to undermine or, to deceive. People are going to get that. Hey, this person is pretty authentic. What you see is what you get. It's unfiltered.
Right.
And this is how you grow that relationship. So let me ask you, somebody's going to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
What do they get? What's the value that they're going to get in working with somebody with your mindset?
Sure, I appreciate you asking that. Again, see problem, create solution to problem, solve problem, success. So the problem that I saw as a journalist was hundreds of times a day you receive useless press releases from people you don't know. So not only does that annoy you, but it burns bridges, because these press releases are annoying and they're totally useless because they're not newsworthy in any way. Okay, so that's a significant problem. So my firm's solution to that problem, again, surprisingly simple, is my firm creates newsworthy stories similar to what I did as a journalist. It becomes a link on the client's website under news or blog, so it would look like a story you see on CBC or Toronto Sun or whatever. And I take that link and pitch it to media locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. If media is interested, put them in touch with the client contact. So all of that is on my website. There's no hidden gimmicks or tricks. I still don't know what most PR firms do. I honestly have no idea. I never knew. And so it's that directness that weeds out nonsense and only attracts people with my mindset. And so the number one thing that I hear from a business perspective from potential clients is that they're tired of being the best kept secret out there, meaning they have this great technology, they have this great message, they've written a great book, whatever it is, and they want to be in news, mainstream media, or podcasts because they want to increase validity and credibility. Not only short term, but especially long term, because those links don't go away. And so that's what I hear time and time again. And then from a journalistic perspective, my company solves two major problems. So as a journalist, I actually know what a newsworthy story is. The opposite of a press release, something that's actually interesting and serves the journalist, not the client. And so the other thing is I'm not sending my tens of thousands of journalist contacts across the world a bad story. I'm not going to burn that bridge, just like PR firms burn bridges with me for 20 years. So again, simplify everything, create solution to problem, and work with a certain type of person who understands that. And so a lot of entrepreneurs get themselves into trouble because they try to be everything for everyone. And my firm and me personally, I'm the exact opposite of that. My firm does one incredibly high level, genius level, global level thing for one type of person. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But the people that do want to do that fit into two types of buckets because they have this mindset. One, they're running high six-figure businesses to 10-figure businesses, see their families as much as they want to, they have this incredible joy for life. So that's one bucket. The other bucket is they're not that first bucket yet, but they will be because they have that mindset. And that's it.
And it's not that I didn't listen to you the first time that you were saying how you were frustrated and 20 years later and then you saw that, problem and you solved it. But I wanted to reiterate because what we do, we people, humans, is we try to be like everybody else. Right?
Not me.
And that's where I want to go with this. A lot of people have either the imposter syndrome because they don't believe that they're good enough and they heard it from others, so they keep telling themselves that, so they find it difficult to rise. So it's always, I'm not good enough. And then others, they have the envy syndrome, right?
Yep.
Where they're always looking, saying, well, look what this person is doing. Look at what they did. How come I can't do it? And they're trying to replicate it. They're wearing the next best thing that everybody else. It's the next shiny, right? The shiny syndrome, right? Somebody gets the latest and the greatest, you got to keep up with the Joneses. And so we're stuck between these two unrealistic, but very real dilemmas. And so what happens is, and I say this from experience because I've lived in both of them, and then where my throttle was, I was teeter-tottering between the two, and it was, wait a minute, I can't find my niche. I was trying to be everything for everyone because I truly believe that I've got a lot of skills, and it wasn't about a jack of all trades and master of none. I thought I mastered many things, but I was still trying to be many things to many people. What I couldn't quite get is, how do I niche it out better? How do I rebrand myself? And so I heard you there. You didn't discover, we weren't Einstein. You weren't Einstein. With all due respect, you didn't take people to the moon, but you found a problem and you found your own solution to it, and you zoned in. Yes. And you said, you know what, I could do this, and I could do it pretty well. I could do this and maybe not as well. I could do this and do it better. But you know what? I'm going to go here. Mm-hmm. This is my approach. And if you want to work with me and, become successful, this is what I do. And so a couple of weeks ago, because I have a coach and he's trying to teach me about niching, and it wasn't quite getting to me. And then, Amy Blashka, who we probably both know, really active person on this, the LinkedIn platform and other places. She posted a video on a podcast she was in, and she said, you can't be everything to everybody. And it was a 30-minute clip. And I know I've heard this, but I don't know what it was. It was midnight on a Friday night. I heard it. I said, shit, that's what I'm trying to do.
Switch went on.
Right? Yep. And I just went, I rewrote my tagline on my various websites and and I said, this is what I do. Yep. Because I needed to hone in. Now, it doesn't mean that I've adopted that mindset yet, because it takes a while to shift and to recalibrate all the time, but you've got to start somewhere, right? I'm going to ask you yet a third time. You saw the problem. You found a solution. But tell me, what is exactly your niche and why are you so different or unique from others? Because you're not being a jack of all trades. You're not trying to solve everything for everyone.
That's right. So people at a certain level, they just want results. So my company just gets results because it created a solution to problem. So it's pretty simple. So people with the mindset that I have and that I've described, they just want results. And so again, you're putting out these radio frequencies or waves or magnet, and then it just attracts people like that. So they just want results. They don't want someone who's all talk and no action. I'm actually very little talk and all action. And so if you look at my brain, there's a test called the Kolbe test, Kolbe. It's the Bible of, have you taken that test?
No.
Oh man, that's the number one for whatever it's, if you want to put that in the show notes or anything. So that's the Bible of strategic coach. And so as background as strategic coach, just pretending we're not in COVID, it meets quarterly in Chicago, Toronto, LA, and London. And so I go to the Chicago group. I'm the only one from Illinois in my group. Everybody else flies in. It's all entrepreneurs, CEOs. This is a very high level, very, very, very high level group discussion. So anyway, I think it's 12K US a year to invest in it. I'd easily invest 30 to 40K a year in it. It's well worth it. But so the Kolbe is like the Bible of it. And so it gives you 4 scores. And there's no bad scores. It just tells you how your brain reacts to things. So Fact Finder, I'm high in Fact Finder, no surprise. 2 is Quick Start. Boom, 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 boom. I'm high in Quick Start.
Surprise, surprise.
Right. So now here's where I differentiate myself from almost every entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs have almost no follow-through. They're all over the place, boom, 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 and they can't follow through on that. That's why they hire a bunch of people. So I'm the very, 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 very rare entrepreneur who has high quick start and high follow-through. So I say it, do it, say it, do it, say it, do it, say it, do it. Hit the gas, pump the brakes, hit the gas, pump the brakes. And most entrepreneurs are hit the gas, there are no brakes. That's why they hire a million people. And then the 4th one is implementer, working with your hands or building something, or like I'd be a 0 on that if that existed. Yeah, if you ask me to like install a light bulb or create a puzzle, I'll basically have a nervous breakdown. I can't handle that, but I know that about myself. Right. So so because of how my brain being wired like that, it's actually very effective for being an entrepreneur with the type of company I have with this type of mindset, because I just focus in on that, and instead of going all over the place, I actually just stay focused in that. And that's what's been, again, the value of investing in groups like this is I never would have learned that about myself. And the other test I just took, which is a dovetail byproduct of Kolbe, is called the PRINT test, PRINT, and that provides you with your subconscious motivators, which is really interesting. So think of it as like everyone sees the tip of the iceberg, right? But they don't see most of the iceberg under the water. So this tells you your motivators under the water. And so my number one major subconscious motivator is to be self-reliant and independent. And so I am endlessly motivated to be self-reliant and independent. And so I have this endless drive to be successful and self-reliant and motivated. And so that's resilient, right? So it's a perfect fit. You don't take
no for an answer, right?
Well, so that is correct. But no's don't bother me, because like to get my first 5 clients, I reached out to 5,000 people. So 4,995 no's for 5 yeses. But
so let me just dig deeper there. No is another opportunity to get a yes.
Right, whatever. I mean, it's entrepreneur life. If you can't handle like overwhelming anxiety, depression, potential bankruptcy, insane highs and lows, then don't do this. Just get a job, because this is not sunshine and rainbows. Like, it's a lot of hard work. I don't think you're under-evaluating what it takes to do well, but it's a lot of hard work, is what you're saying. It doesn't just happen overnight. Not a magic, no. Right. So people are like, how did you build this company? I'm like, well, they're like, oh, you're really successful. I go, well, you didn't see me at 3 a.m. when I had no clients.
Roll up the scars.
Right. And so, but again, people at the level that I'm at, and I'm not talking about revenue, because I don't care about revenue. I'm talking about the mind level that I'm at. All of them, not 99%, 100% of them have been through the same types of things. So we understand each other. And you just have to be willing to have the courage to put yourself in that position to, and I don't even use the word fail. Fail is not a word. It's you're either winning or learning.
Right. You got it. Yeah.
Right. So I'm constantly learning, because I don't care if I don't win. I just want to learn, and then that leads to winning.
And I want to dive deeper into that pond, but I want to create a bit of clarity in the murky waters, just for my benefit and benefit of the listener. Because when you've done this, you've done it so well. It's second nature to you. But I just want to pause here. I get asked a lot. Yep. This podcast has been around for a month. I've interviewed about 30 odd people. So it's been maybe one a day, every day. Like,
That's great.
I find time to do this. But
I bet your brain is like,
I spend my weekend post-producing about 9 different episodes, right? Just to put together and to write. But it's because I'm learning. But I want to pause here for a minute. I get asked when I'm approaching people, say, hey, would you like to be on here? And they're like, what value would I bring? And, what do you talk about? And this is what I say. Look, this is about leadership. But this isn't about leadership. You're going to sit in the corner office and you're going to lead multi-million-dollar company. I don't care about leadership where it's about you. I care about leadership where it's about us. I care about leadership that's service. And so what I say to people is, if you're going to listen to this podcast, you're going to hear about how to be an authentic, no bullshit kind of person. It's unfiltered. You're going to learn to be a transformational. Awesome. Well, it gets my energy.
I agree.
Going, right?
I agree, man.
It's
I love it.
Enough crap. Like, there's so much crap out there. I just want to say to people, face up, be who you are, be authentic, be real, be unfiltered, be you, learn, move, get ahead, and don't give up, right? And so if you can't start from that mindset, you can't lead anyone. If you can't lead yourself, be transformational and know you're going to fall but get right back up. There's no such BS as leadership. So this isn't we're going to teach you how to become the best leader. Yeah, hopefully. But we're going to teach you how to become the best person, because if you start out there, you become the best person. Yep. Why am I ranting? Because when I bring it back to what you've helped us understand in that clarity, you sound like a very professionally led, smart individual who's...
Oh, thanks.
Right. Well, you do. You come across as very confident. You've done well. You've got that no BS attitude.
Man, you hit it on the head right there.
Right.
You said the magic word, though.
You've worked hard. And where I want to point out to people is, if they did not pick up on the fact that you are all about heart, that you're all about that emotional intelligence and growing yourself, you've talked to me so much about being self-aware. And men, white men who are leaders, your typical leadership position, male, alpha, male, dominant, ID, right?
Yep.
They forget that it's okay to feel. It's okay to show those emotions. Learn to be self-aware and to self-regulate.
Yep.
And I heard that when you're talking about. Now I'm going to shut up. I'm going to ask you why that self-awareness and self-regulation is crucial and critical to your success.
I mean, it's the most important thing. Crucial, critical, I don't even think as big as those words are, it's without that, no chance for success. And again, you hit it on the head with the word confident. People without this mindset many times think I come across as arrogant. And it's actually the exact opposite as arrogant. Because arrogant people think they're great at everything. I'm actually terrible at almost everything. Like, not average, terrible. I'm terrible at almost everything. But at connecting people on a global level and getting people in news at a high global level, I'm among the best people in the world at that. And I know that. And that's confidence, not arrogance. And when you portray and live in that confidence, it attracts other people who are confident in what they are good at. They're not arrogant, they're confident in what they're good at. And then again, those people are the ones leading companies because they know what they're good at, and they hire or outsource everything else to fill those weaknesses. So it just makes sense. So again, you in the way you communicate, it attracts the right people and repels the wrong people. And I'm okay with repelling. So
arrogant would have been somebody who said to me, I'm great at quick starting, I'm great at follow through, I'm great at, and I'm great at implementation. Right? But
I don't think that exists. Right? I don't think I have never met, there might be, so Dan Sullivan, who's the best, not like, and I don't say this, like, he's the top, he's the genius of all, he's the guy who co-founded Strategic Coach. So his Colby, it scores 1 to 10. He's a 10 being the highest. So he's a 2 fact finder. He is a 2 follow through. He's a 10 quick start. He'd probably be a million and then he's a 2 implementer. So he just stays in his lane. He doesn't He speaks to people. He comes up with ideas and concepts, and this team of hundreds does everything else. They don't even
There you
let him get
go.
out of it. They don't let him get out of his lane. They
And
don't let
see,
him damage himself. So I just stay in my lane. I stay
that's
in
the
my lane.
important thing about leaders who have
Right.
that self-awareness, because they know when they can say, hey, I need help here. I don't have a
Right.
crystal ball. I don't have all the answers. I don't know. But this is why I need you. This is why I
Right.
need a
Right.
team. This is why we, right?
So that's
Arrogant
those people
leaders,
hire my firm. That's what they
there
do.
you go. Arrogant leaders are the insecure ones who don't have that
Mm.
confidence, who go around saying, I
That's
can
what
do
it
it
is.
all. They lead through role and rank, and it's about authority.
Yep.
And they're normally there in person, in physically, maybe, but not necessarily spiritually or mentally or emotionally.
No.
They're checked out. So, a great leader is somebody who's going to be present, who's
Present.
who's going to be thoughtful, who's
Yep.
going to be self-aware, who
Yep.
can work with others, who
Yep.
can say, this is where I excel, and I'm still growing because I'm learning and not losing. And defeat is okay. Defeat is a different word than losing, by the way. I hope you would agree with me. I'm going on a tangent. And I'll give you an example. I
You're
was
just
trying
like
to get
me,
into
dude. We're like
elections.
the same person, man.
Well, I tried to get into the elections last year. I didn't win. I lost the elections. I was defeated in terms of somebody else won. And it was tough. That ego really took a beating. But I'm running again, probably. I was able to get up after a few months, and I said, I didn't get my dream of wanting to serve people. And if there's another election here in Canada, I'll probably run again. Where I'm going with this is somebody who would have been mentally and emotionally and spiritually defeated would have walked away and said, I lost, I'm a loser. You said, I didn't win, but I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so we
Right.
need that mindset of saying, yet, I didn't win yet, I can grow. I think it's essential. You're right. It's not crucial and critical. It's essential. It has to be part of who we
number
are.
one. It's number one. Yeah.
What has been
So
your greatest, we talk about fear. I have a feeling you're going to tell me you don't have a fear, but can you tell me, have you experienced fear? Okay.
I too. No. It's people that say they're not afraid of anything. That's especially entrepreneurs. Most entrepreneurs are petrified by many things, and they just overcome them. I mean,
What's one thing that's petrified you, but you've overcome?
yeah. So if you can start a business from nothing with 0 clients and no revenue and build it into a company as successful as mine, I'm pretty much convinced you can do anything. So last year, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. I jumped out of an airplane, did skydiving, and I'm petrified of heights. And so time and time again, I was I was talking to folks. They're like, "Yeah, starting a business from scratch is like jumping out of an airplane." So I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'll just jump out of an
Jump
airplane."
out of an airplane.
And it was very similar. Again, like I'm the kind of guy who goes, on a roller coaster and it's 30 meter. The first drop is 30 meters or 40 meters or whatever, and that's a scary feeling. But let's see, that would be 5,000 meters up in the air. That's and
It's a
oh
little
man, that
scary, huh?
little scary. So yeah, I just wound up doing it, and it was very similar to running a business. But then you land and you feel a little sick when you land, but then you're okay, and you're like, holy crap, I just accomplished something that I'm guessing 99, 98% of the world would never even think about doing. And so that's very similar to running a business.
And Justin, for those who have never, by the way, I was going to do it this year, and the only reason I didn't chicken out, but with COVID, things
Right.
weren't available, and I did. But it was been one of my bucket lists. That and going up in an air balloon. But
Right.
I want
I'll do
to
that.
let people know, when you want to go and jump out of a plane, you don't just hire a plane and jump out of the parachute. Tell me a bit about what you had to do before you got there.
Yeah, well, yes, you have to not have certain health conditions for certain, but yes, you have to take training, and then you're obviously strapped to an instructor. You don't just jump out by yourself, and watch the videos and things like that. And then I think the most important thing, which is not in it's not on the company's website or anything, is you have to put yourself in a place mentally where you're like, I'm going to be okay. and this is going to work out. And so before starting a business, I know for certain I never would have done that. But because I had the confidence of starting something from nothing and building a successful business, then, that's, I wound up doing it. And so to dovetail that, the next thing, one of my life goals is to swim with great white sharks, either in, South Africa or Australia or California or Mexico. So,
You lost me there.
Right. Okay. Whatever. But
Yeah.
I'll be in a cage. Right. And I'm petrified. Like, I've been petrified of sharks since I saw Jaws. But I'm just going to go out and do it. And yeah, that's the next thing I'm going to do. And so I've already been talking to folks who run, those type of companies about when things slow down. I will do that because why not?
There's that quick start and follow through mentality, right? And
So do it.
I'm going to go back to what you said a moment ago. You trained before you jumped out of a plane. For a lot of us, starting a business can feel like we're dropping from the sky, and
that's what it is,
right? But you did your homework. You trained. You realized you're not doing it alone. You were strapped to somebody who had your best interest in mind. They had your life strapped to theirs.
Right, and they had my life. They had my life, and I had their life.
Right.
Very similar.
So leadership is not about blindly running and not knowing where you're going.
Right.
Right. It's not about doing it alone. Learn to be mentored and mentor others. Work with people who've got your best interest in mind, because that will save the life of your life and the life of your business. And, I want to go back. You said too that, when you were starting your business, you kind of started from nothing. And I want to challenge you, because I hope I've listened properly to you. What I heard from you, and I think this is your modesty coming in here, you did your homework. You looked around, and for 20 years, you were ticked with the way that things were happening and weren't happening right. And you knew that you had a better solution, and you figured it out, and you put it together, and you implemented it, and you saw it through. And so I want to challenge it where, maybe I heard you wrong when you said that, I didn't think it through. I think you did. I think you did your homework, and you're right. You came up with a better way, and you've got that charisma about knowing that, hey, I've done something, I'm making a difference. So I think you've worked hard, and it shows. And again, leadership and success isn't handed to us on a silver platter.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. So my high D, I'm tempering it, because I've learned, like, when someone is nice or compliments you, you just say thank you, as opposed to, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's actually hard for me to do that.
I know, maybe it's hard too.
Right, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so my wife is actually the opposite. Like, we've been tested. She has literally the exact opposite.
That's my wife as well.
Right, of course, because people like us, you can marry someone like us, but it's usually a disaster. But anyway, my wife keeps me. Without my wife, I'd be.
You're grounded.
That's it. She grounds me. And is your wife a teacher or something, or a nurse or something like that, or what is she?
She works in a nursery, but she's a great mother. She's
of course, makes sense.
And to 4 kids. We have 3 kids, but guess who the 4th is?
You. Right? So my wife has 2 sons, and I'm the 3rd son, and so my sons are 7 and 6. The oldest is about to turn 8, but so my wife's a pediatrician, and like, she cares about community, she cares about scheduling and rules and meetings, and like, oh my God. But it's important, because she's like, you have to find a way to just have normal conversations with people. But now the problem with that is, then I talk to people like you, and it's very difficult, because then they're reinforcing all my high D behaviors. But I am trying, and I really do work on that. But okay, so let me focus. So the byproduct of having a successful company is you really can help people, right? So one of my long-term clients, which is a private arts high school in Illinois, and in the Chicago area, in Chicago specifically. And so I started a scholarship, or an annual award, it's a $1,000 U.S. annual award for an entrepreneurial-minded student who's going to do great things. So that's great. I'm very happy about that. But so today, I just got a random call from somebody I knew, and he's like, hey, I saw the post. I'd like to contribute $1,000 to that award. And so this school year, now it will be $2,000 award. So I just posted that. And so again, I didn't expect that. It was a great surprise. But and then I texted the head of school, and just said, hey, check your feed. I just tagged you in a really cool post. And so it's it's just not about transactional. It's about having real relationships like that. And then the byproduct is everybody wins. And so there's another client I have. They're a pathology lab, and they're expanding across the Midwest of the United States. And so I'm starting a scholarship fund for one of their employees who's entrepreneurial, or an employee's child who's entrepreneurial. And the head of that's super excited about it, because that's whatever, 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever the donation is that they wouldn't have had before. And so that's what it's really all about. You get to a place where you're successful financially, and you have this freedom of time, and you're working with the people that you want to work with, and you do what you like to do and what you're good at, and then you give back. And it's just wonderful. It's just good to do it, and you feel good, and everybody else feels good.
That's your investment there, but it's also your abundance, right? So take us back to where you started.
100%.
Right? It is really about, I could just do well and go on and selfishly just grow, and right? It's about me and my immediate needs and wants, right?
Right.
But
and that's how I was when I started, by the way, 100%. But you adapt and you evolve.
And that's part of growth. That's part of that self-awareness. You know, I want to go in a minute to, we're right now actually to social media, because you mentioned how you posted. And, you know, I looked yesterday, I was scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I came across this young woman who was talking about how she became a meme. I'm like, oh, okay, I've heard my kids talk about memes. And, you know, she became the kombucha girl. And so I'm giving her a call out. But she became a meme, and she talked about how she went from, like, she was doing now, I think she did really well financially, but also she got to be known because, you know, she was being used in Hong Kong as a meme when they were doing the protests, and she had no idea. So, you know,
oh, wow. That's really interesting. Wow.
Right. And so it went from her being picked up on dirty social media, like, you know, where people were using her like, this is how you blank blank, and then to going to become the face of social causes. So what we do sometimes,
man, that's incredible.
But now, you know, she got to, you know, she's probably being picked up. She was asking to be picked up by Disney and Pixar. But anyway, the point is,
there you go.
sometimes we can sit back and think those one-offs, and there's many of them right now, but why didn't that happen to me? What am I not doing? Because the first thing that came into my mind is, how can I leverage my social media better? I brought it back again to a place of scarcity. I was looking about that comparison, you know, the next shiny object. Oh, how did she do it? How can I do it? Oh, she used TikTok. Do I need to go on TikTok? So I want to call it out and be vulnerable here and say, look, if you do this all the time, if you're always comparing yourself through a lens of scarcity, guess what? You're just going to drink kombucha. You're not going to become the next meme for kombucha. The point that I'm going here is, you obviously in your work and in your journalism and your BrEpic and the type of work that you're in, you have to leverage social media effectively.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to, you know, I have something called the Unfiltered Thought of the Week, where I ask you for any sort of enlightenment or advice that you can give people to do things better. So normally I say, how do we become a better person? How do we become a better leader? I'm going to say that part of that is knowing how to leverage the influence that we can master through social media. What one piece of advice would you give to people on leveraging social media more effectively to help them brand, niche, or find their lane better?
Sure. Good question. As background, I have over 40,000 followers on social media. On LinkedIn, almost 23,000. And so I'll talk about LinkedIn real quickly, because I can swear here, so that's good. So I see all this bullshit on LinkedIn with these stupid links that are a waste of fucking time. But so that's my real Heidi right there. But so again, I get very annoyed by that stuff. So I use LinkedIn as a commercial for other folks, let them shine. So whether that's clients in media, or, you know, giving out that award to the student, and, you know, putting a photo of that student with holding the award, or hey, here's a great video I watched talking about abundance, and then tagging the person who did that. I think all of that kind of leads to one simple statement, is that I'm very authentic on it. I'm not some, BS like, oh, here's a link of how you can make money investing, or, it's just, that's what 99% of folks do, and I don't, I'm the outlier and do the opposite of what, most people do. So when you're authentic, and don't hold things back, and you're just who you are, then people are naturally attracted to it. So again, the person calling me, donating an extra $1,000 to that award, that's a direct result of me being authentic. And that's what the person said. They're like, hey, I saw your posts, love what you're doing, love how you're helping people. I just want to contribute to that. And so, again, when you are who you are and you know who you are, and you're not afraid, or you just know it and you thrive in it, then it just attracts people that want to be part of that. They want to be part of this awesome community. And so that's what it is. It's just a community that just grows and grows and grows.
And I'm going to put in a little value for unfiltered. When you're authentic, when you're unfiltered, people know who you are. There's no mask, right? People know, mask. Right? They're dealing with you. This is what you're going to get. It's authentic, right, and it makes a difference. And right, we're going to help people too. After this, we're going to make sure that you and I are sharing the different resources, as well as if people want to learn more about what you're doing in terms of contributions. And I've heard you mention it a couple of times, right? So just so people can know what you're personally doing, but also if they're interested in, it's contagious, right? So I want to thank you today. I'm glad that the energy that we're putting out there crisscrossed and that we were able to meet. I look forward to continued conversations. I know offline you and I are going to continue to talk and grow with each other.
This is only the beginning.
Right? I look forward to that. And I want to thank you for being my unfiltered guest. And I want to thank you for what you're doing to your community, and tell you to keep shining on.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Unfiltered, the show about authentic leadership and personal growth. Like what you heard? Click subscribe, share it, and tell a friend about it. And don't forget to leave a rating.